Well, we hope it will start again soon, and Loretta will be back with us at some point in the future. We're going to introduce our last reader tonight, the wonderful Richard Scott. So please welcome Richard back to the Dodo stage. Richard Scott.
Hello, thanks for having me back. I'm going to start with a poem about a beheading. You don't need to know very much about it, other than St. Margaret she lived in Antioch, and she was a very religious woman. However, the governor of the town, Olybrius, decided he fancied her on a whim, and because she wouldn't marry him, he obviously had her beheaded. That's a normal response to that. It's based on my favourite poem in the National Gallery by Starnina. It's a pretty cool painting. I'll just read the poem. Beheading of a female saint. I have come to the gallery to witness the execution of a woman. Her golden underskirt moves in the wind outside the airless city. They hold sticks to lance the headless corpse. Each man wears a hat. Olybrius, governor of Antioch, are you among them? You would have placed your arms around her neck, lain down with her. The grey stone has let through very few flowers this year. The river runs gold, the blank sky is gold. Women watch from within the red town. None anticipate the silence that will follow. Look, even as the black sword is above her head, Margaret's hands are still cupped in prayer. I thought I would read a newish poem to see. Well, it's a stage of the writing process, isn't it? You try it out, and if everyone's like, not quite ready. I have been thinking about my 20s a lot, thinking about running around, following a theme from Alvin's reading. And I've also been reading this amazing book by Edward Levy called Autoportrait, and if you haven't read it, you have to read it. He's a photographer, and he also wrote these incredible tiny novels that are they're very kind of free, and his autobiography, his self-portrait, is basically just disconnected sentence after disconnected sentence. It's a mosaic, and it sort of makes up a pretty bleak but wonderful self-portrait. So I've been reading that, and I've been thinking a lot about my 20s recently, where I did some running around. Actually, I was kind of a good boy in my 20s, but for the sake of the poem, I do a bit more running around than I actually did. Anyway, self-portrait with lovers. I let each broad-shouldered one poke me, jab me, stick me, thrust into me, bite me, prod me, bash me, finger me, rob me, bounce me, dangle me, gob me out, spank me cobalt, paddle me, frot me, noose me, rubber me, PVC me, inject me, tie me up, fleece me, flay me, spread eagle me, joust me, gore me, tickle me, vermilion, spike me, kink me, stab me, pour me out, loosen me up, ingest me, sleaze me, waste me, strangle me, wound me, triage me, autopsy me, coin me, bury me up to the neck, till I was nothing but a victim with a tired list of verbs, a poet writing his one poem again. So I read about fishmongers and about barbers. I'm also fascinated by butchers. When I used to live in Brockley, there was an amazing butcher that would work at a butcher shop down in Deptford, and I don't know, there's something really cool about butchers, isn't it? It's kind of it's an intrinsically modern thing because we all still like to eat meat, but it's also an incredibly ancient thing. It's been going on a long time, so any kind of dialogue you have with a butcher or any kind of appreciation with the art of butchery has to kind of celebrate somehow its ancientness, I think. The Butcher's Apprentice. Above the blue bottles and dying wasps, I watch his teenage hands grappling with quartered flesh, the blonde hairs striped with blood. He is how I imagine a Grecian statue painted, poppy-cheeked, sunburnt skin, eyes white with labour. Then comes his mythical paring knife, mottled from use, nicks from when the fine edge had caught on bone, handle rubbed away to nothing. And on his salty forehead, blood smear from the Minotaur's own pelt. I have imagined myself his victim nightly, reduced myself to meat, shin, heart, topside, marrow, convinced I'll feel nothing as he cleaves my ribcage in two, my blood rinsing his hands like the black Mediterranean. Jealous of the ox, the pig, the calf, I feel my fists split and cloven. My tongue grows fat, engorged with blood. The horn buds ferret beneath my forehead. Oh, to be your prey. Hang me up, butcher. My nape is ripe for your hook. I've been spending a lot of time with my dad recently. He's recently bought a boat on eBay, which is a really nutty thing to do. It's sort of worked out alright for him, and actually I've been on a trip with him and he let me steer the boat. This poem is not about that. But spending time with him, he's 67 and he's in very good health, although he's a complete hypochondriac, but he's in very good health. But I guess I'm terrified of notions of him passing away or something, so that kind of fed its way into this poem, and the poem is kind of anecdotal. It remembers a holiday we had a while ago. My father's last house. We arrived at dawn to find the place had a sea view. Our plot was at the apex of a hillock sweeping down to the coast, holding grey-roofed houses in its slight valleys. An unambiguous ultramarine line ran under the horizon, and sure enough, sails. This was all farmland, my dad explained, sold off plot by plot to young families, builders eager to cash in. Only one piece remained undeveloped, marked sold by a small fluorescent orange marker anchored in the field's middle, half obscured by scree and goat's feces. Our old Viennese neighbours lived by chance across the way. They all came out to greet us, broad-chested, hair wet from the shower, father, son, brother-in-law, cousin, commenting on my dad's slimmer frame. I have lost weight too, offered Heinrich. I have a young lady doctor who shakes her head at my naked belly. I have an old man doctor, laughed my father, who tells me I will die soon. Thank you. And I'm going to finish with another poem about a saint, because we like saints. Well, I don't know if we do. I do in poetic terms. You don't need to know much about this other than it celebrates in an aloof kind of way Saint Sebastian, who has also become something of a symbol for beauty and eroticism. And it's written in the voice of a trainee priest who has to prepare the church for Lent and is rather taken with Saint Sebastian. Thank you very much for having me. It's been a wonderful night, Patrick. Thank you. Trainee priest at raucous Capel. Saint Sebastian stands covered with the hunger cloth, a hooded detainee from off the seminary television. We must give up the sight of him to focus on the bare Easter altar. Good Friday, I will lift the veil, search his face for a clue of agony. I don't believe the sculptor's lie. He cannot be at peace. He is like me, young when he gave himself to God. While the priests are diluting wine, I would have him tug off his sack, step down, walk. I will lie him across my lap, pull out the cock-feathered arrows, wash the holes in his body, sew them up with my mother's darning needle, ask if I will be forgiven for wanting his delicate blood on my fingers. But Sebastian is carved. I have traced the chisel's evidence with my thumb. I know my thread can't heal. He and his arrows are of the same body of Milanese oak. There is no stop where either wound or weapon begin. Our devotion is a perpetual hurt. I am like him, young, bound for a lifetime of suffering behind cloth. Thank you.
And the very saintly Richard Scott. More applause. So you've also been listening to Alvin Kalzak, Charlotte Knowles Cutler, Loretta Tomlinson, and once again, the amazing Richard Scott. Thank you. That's the end of our Autumn Rising. Thank you very much for coming along tonight. If you'd like to leave your email, we'll tell you when we're back on here next. But so far, we will be back anyway in the future. So see you soon, hopefully. Bye.
It's hard to say the moon is